We can conclude then from the statistics that sitting in our churches, especially black churches, there are women who have aborted. And so this thing is real. This thing is real. One of the problems, because abortion is not an isolated event. Things have to happen for abortion to take place. And one thing is that somebody has to have sex. That's a problem in the church. 67% of women who abort are single. Okay? So what this says to me is that single black Christian women are having sex because they're having abortions. So we have to deal with the sexuality issue as well. Can't get in that today, but we're just going to deal with the abortion issue. All right, go ahead. Now, what we all know, and what's obvious, is that abortion prematurely terminates the life of a child. We know that, right? Or at least I hope we know that. Because life begins at conception. Okay, that's when life begins. That's the obvious thing in the pro-choice, pro-life movement. That's the battle. When does life begin? Because it's not murder if life has not begun. So the pro-choice side wants to argue, no, it's not a life. Because if they said it was life, then it would have to be murder. And the pro-life side says, no, it is a life, therefore it is murder. So that's the big obvious battle. But what is less obvious is the fact that abortion hurts women. Abortion hurts women. Yes, the life of a child is taken, and that's sad, but the woman is the second victim in the act of abortion. And so when we put it all together, there are women, black women, sitting in the church hurting from abortion. They're hurting from abortion. They're in the church, they're working hard, they're praising God, they're loving God, but they're keeping this secret of abortion on the inside. And they're suffering its aftermath silently. And so this is why God has mandated me to bring this message to the church. And I admire pastors like Pastor Hogan here who will allow me to tell it, because I get a lot of opposition to this. Pastors don't want to deal with this issue. But it's real. It's a stronghold, and it has to be broken down. And just like the song that went forth here, I'm going to stand my ground until these walls come down. This has got to stop. This has got to stop, and it's got to stop in the black church. I'm telling you, we are so ignorant. You know, I could go on, and I can't today, but I could go on and on. God has dealt with me on this issue for years, and he has shown me the deception and the lies regarding abortion. And one thing that's very sad to me is that black people, we as black people, don't understand that Margaret Sanger, do you know who Margaret Sanger is? She's the founder of Planned Parenthood. She was racist, and she had a eugenics agenda. And eugenics is when you're trying to get a pure race of people. And so her plan was to get rid of all the inferior races of whoever, you know, you can guess who that is. You know, we're one of them. And so she would get black pastors to promote the clinics to their women, because they knew that if a white person did it, black people, you know, are not very trusting of white people, you know, they're like, ugh. But they would get black pastors to promote this to their members, that this was a good thing, this birth control issue for women. It'll empower you, you know, you don't have to have children that you don't want to have. And she was very sly with it. And if you look at Planned Parenthood clinics today, most of them, are in urban neighborhoods. That's not by accident. And one thing that made me cry in 2004 is when the NAACP, an organization that has been around forever, had never taken a stand on abortion before, never taken a formal stand. In 2004, they took a formal pro-choice stand. And it pierced me to my heart. And it's like, how can they support that? Don't they understand what abortion is doing to the black population and the black community? Did you know that from the 2000 census that blacks are no longer the largest minority in America? Hispanics are. That's not by happenstance. Our babies are being killed. And they're saying that's why it was so, I couldn't believe in their formal statement, they said the reason why we're taking a pro-choice stand is because it's mostly our women who are having the abortion. what is wrong with you? What is wrong with this picture? And so my feeling now is that black pastors, because they kind of got this thing going, need to be the ones that bring it to an end. Black pastors need to bring it up in their pulpit and teach their people, no, you don't need to do this. Okay? But it's a secret in the church. It's kept undercover. Nobody wants to address it. Why? Because, it's a woman's choice. It's her right to do that, and we don't want to invade in that. We don't want to mess with her choice. But that's a lie from hell. That's a lie from the devil. So we have all this secrecy, even from the women who've aborted in the church. Can I get the next slide, please? So why the secrecy? Why do we have the secrecy in this church? Shame and self-condemnation. It never ceases to amaze me how pro-choice women can stand out on the steps of government buildings and fight for the right to choose and fight for the right to abort. Yet when a woman has an abortion, you don't hear her talk about it. She's not so vocal about it then, is she? She's not so verbal. Why? Because shame comes with the package of abortion. Deep down in a woman's soul, she knows something is not right. And she doesn't tell it. Also, it's kept a secret because I think historically the church has not been a safe place for a woman to be healed of abortion's aftermath. It has not been a safe environment. Women have heard the remarks about the judgment and the condemnation, of abortion. It's a hostile environment. And so, no, a woman's not going to admit that she had an abortion. I work for a post-abortion ministry, and I've been doing this since 1999, ministering to women who've aborted. These women, they go through the healing process, but you know what they say? I will never tell anybody in my church. And that's sad to me. They will do whatever they can. I think when I shared my abortion, and I had one, and I'll tell you a little more about it in a minute. The first time I shared it, it was in a women's conference, Labor Love's first women's conference, and the Lord told me I had to share it. I had a person, I was like, what? No way. I was like, and he was saying, you have to say it. I'm like, no. And this was like back in 1988, something like that. I'm like, no. And he just would not, I didn't hear anything else that was going on. Me and the Lord was just wrestling, because I was in leadership. I was in leadership in my church. And I was like, I can't let these women know that I've aborted. And so, I have to obey. So I gave in. But it's like, Lord, I got to go tell my pastor first. I don't want him hearing this from nobody else. He was in his office. I just tipped it in there and said, Pastor, look, had an abortion. Lord says I got to tell it. So I just want you to know first. And he was like, you know what I'm saying? I feel sorry for pastors. They just get dumped on, at any given moment. And so I went out and shared it, and then it's amazing how many women afterward, not in that session, afterward came to tell me that they had aborted. See, post-abortive women, we think that people are going to judge us harshly. That's what the devil tells us. But sometimes it's not even like that. It's just a ploy for us to keep it undercover. So we keep it under wraps, because we don't want to be judged, and, because we are a pastor's wife, or we are a deaconess, or we are on the usher board. And so we can't we can't tarnish our reputation, like Sister Kenya was saying. We can't let people know what we're doing. So we keep it under wraps. We don't want to be rejected. We don't want to be judged, and we don't want to lose respect. We as the body of Christ have to make our churches a safe place for anybody that's hurting to come and be healed. And that, I am serious about this. This is one of my goals in life, to make the church a safe place.